My drunk daughter admitted to catching my wife cheating on me. My wife and I have been together for 25 years, but married for 19. We are high school sweethearts with two lovely kids, a daughter and a boy. I honestly thought we had a strong marriage, that our relationship wouldn't be like our friends and colleagues, and that we genuinely endure the test of time. Now I understand how very ignorant and incorrect I was. My wife had been a stay-at-home parent for the most of our adult life, something we both agreed on, but after our children left for college, she started to feel restless, empty nest syndrome, I think, and she would tell me she felt dissatisfied and had lost sight of who she was. I suggested activities we could do together, places we could go, or even adopting pups if that would help, and she was initially enthusiastic, but quickly expressed a need to feel like she was contributing rather than coasting through life. I understood and was eager to assist her. She was never one to sit still, so I anticipated it. She complained to a few friends, and one of them got her an interview with a real estate business. She used to work there before having the kids, and I was just as pleased as she was when she accepted. Things were going well at first, but after the first year, I noticed some changes. She began going to drink-ups with coworkers, starting messaging a lot more than normal while at home, and began texting at unusual hours at night. She also began using a certain scent and began wearing more suggestive attire, nothing too showing, but stuff that complemented her body form much better than normal. But what made me suspicious was when I accidentally saw a message from a male coworker on her phone. I wasn't snooping, that appeared to be a highly inappropriate and flirtatious text. I asked about it, and she was visibly shaken but assured me that he was simply a friend and that she would talk to him about his inappropriate messages. I don't want to be the neurotic, jealous, and controlling spouse who decided to believe her and go on. Oh, how I wish I hadn't. Her conduct became more weird as time passed. She began expressing a desire to be more spontaneous in her life, and she even began using marijuana. I made jokes about how she looked to be enjoying the same college lifestyle as our kids and advised her to slow down. But she dropped an absolute bomb when she stated in a drunken condition after another night of going out that maybe I could lower her lights and hold her back. I was extremely taken aback by this and assumed I was doing something wrong, so I tried everything to repair the marriage, including scheduling therapy, but it didn't work. Then, all of a sudden, the weird behavior ceased. My wife apologized for her behavior, saying she had forgotten who she was but remembered what she had at home and didn't want to lose it. She quit from her work, and we started marital therapy. It was difficult. Initially, things were difficult, but after 2 years, our marriage was stronger than ever. She was more attentive, she initiated more closeness, and she showered me with attention. The only issue was that her connection with our daughter appeared to be deteriorating. I would ask my wife about it, but she would tell me it was a growing period or a woman thing, and I would again take her word for it. The interesting thing is that my connection with my daughter strengthened during this time. She called a lot more, saw me for coffee or lunch often throughout the week, and even gave me presents, t-shirts, etc. I always told her it wasn't necessary, but she persisted, and I could sense she was trying to say something but couldn't. My wife was going home from the grocery store when she was hit by a drunk driver. She lost the use of her legs and has been wheelchair-bound ever since. When things became very bad and she suggested that I sleep with other women, which I rejected, I simply chalked it up to her sadness and told her that I was here to stay because I loved her more than our predicament. This caused her to weep and question why I had been so kind to her or what she had done to earn me. Once again, I chalked it up to sadness and attempted to comfort her as best I could. When we went for our medical checkups later, the doctor sat us down and informed us that they had discovered a tumor in my wife's throat. It was of extraordinary size, and since it may be malignant, they needed to take a biopsy. My initial response was astonishment. However, my wife was blank at first, then she began laughing, which started tiny and quickly grew hysterical as she mumbled that this was her punishment. We were able to calm her down, but she demanded that we have a family meal before the biopsy, which I of course agreed to, and we invited our children and closest relatives. I gave a speech about how my wife was the light of my life, and how we get through this, but towards the end, I saw my daughter was very uncomfortable, and I assumed it was because of what was going on. My daughter called me intoxicated the following evening, pleading with me not to hate her. At first, I was perplexed, but I reassured her that I would never hate her since she is my little kid and I would always love her. She then proceeded to tell me how she saw her mother cheating on me with a guy she had never seen before. My daughter went on a road trip with some friends during my wife's, time at the real estate business and decided to stop by a diner they don't regularly frequent to have a bite. And that's when she saw her mother lip-locked with a guy who looked nothing like me. This, it seems, is why their relationship worsened while ours improved. I confronted my wife, and to her credit, she didn't dispute it. Instead, through tears, she verified it was the coworker from the texts and said it was the worst thing she had ever done. He was continually coming on to her, she claimed, and gradually wore down her defenses. She told me that being discovered by our daughter made her understand the importance of what she was doing. She wanted to take it to the grave because she didn't want to harm me and was too afraid to confess, so she pleaded with our kid not to tell me. I'm in a state of shock and don't know what to do. I'm questioning every element of our relationship and wondering where I went wrong. She says I was a decent spouse and that none of this is my fault. The issue is that I haven't been affectionate towards her since that time. I still take care of her, but it's more what a nurse does with a patient than a husband does with his wife. If I leave her, she will be absolutely adrift. She is financially and emotionally reliant on me, and it feels quite unjust. Sorry if everything seems jumbled, but I am a jumbled mess right now. Update. My wife has always been on my case to experience my actual sentiments and thoughts towards her, no matter how harsh or vicious they may be. Not long after my initial post, I was preparing lunch for her as I normally do, and just as I was about to leave her to her meal, she grabbed my hand and begged me to say anything to her, anything, since the way I've been treating her since our D-Day was killing her. I absolutely erupted at those words, and a lot spilled out of me. I told her that she was perfection to me, but that since this occurred, she has become used in my eyes. I told her that the sound of her voice used to make me want to give her the world, but that now just being near her makes me want to escape and never look back. I said that through all of this, she is still the first thing I think about when I get up in the morning and the last thing I think about when I go to sleep. But those thoughts are accompanied with a pain I never knew existed, and it makes me miserable because I still need her. I still want to hug her in my arms, but every time I touch her, I get mental images of her with another guy, and what irritates me the most is that she brought our kid into this. She placed our baby girl in an untenable situation and expected life to carry on as if nothing had occurred. I pointed out that despite her present circumstances, her connection with our daughter has remained relatively unchanged, and that is the result of her actions. My wife just sobbed softly through it all, and at the end, she simply said she deserved all that was coming her way. She said she tried her hardest to atone for the disgusting decision she made during that time, and has never stopped seeking forgiveness from our daughter. She explains that seeing me in this state makes her feel like a murderer, and she will do absolutely anything to help me heal and recover from this. She also added that she wanted me to know that even if I never forgive her and end up divorcing her, she has and always will love only me, that she doesn't regret our life and marriage because it is more than she could have ever asked for. Apparently, she can hardly look herself in the mirror because of who was looking back at her, and she never wanted to be that person. I can see she despises herself for what she did, but I'm divided about it all. I never realized it was possible to adore and despise someone at the same time. I've chosen to schedule counseling for myself and my wife since I have a lot to say to her but am worried of going too far, so speaking in a controlled setting would be better. I also have an overpowering need to communicate with the guy she was associated with. It may be pointless after so many years, but I feel compelled to do it for my own sanity. I'd want to know who the guy was who had the guts to stand in the way of a husband and his wife, and I guess I'll ask for his information during the therapy session. Thank you all so much once again.